yesterday in the Sohbat we read about Imam Ghazali.
Yes.
And there, not just his example, but there's other examples too of very high-level men in Islam, in the history of Islam, that they went through this thing of relying on their own knowledge and then realized that that was not the right thing to do, or they had to find a sheikh. Whatever the story was for them in particular, is it not unreasonable to think that we will also go through something like that?
Who is going to go through something like that?
Any of us.
You're really talking about apples and dinosaurs. Well, you cannot, on the one hand, talk about the highest level of Muslim scholars and also people who have spiritual. It's not to say Imam Ghazali did not have any spiritual insight or training. He did, before he submitted himself to Imam Ja'far. He did. If you're asking, do normal people then go through this, that they will rely on their knowledge before they understand that they have to rely on a guide? This is a common human experience. But this break between knowledge and spirituality, it is only very common now. Which means that what? In the time of, you mentioned Imam Ghazali. If you ask, were people like him? Were the majority, were they like that? That they were just relying on their knowledge. That itself is problematic, because it is as if to say that Imam Ghazali is relying on his knowledge. Do you understand? Now your apple is turning into a dinosaur. That's to assume that it's not. Your understanding of it cannot be like that. You cannot reduce Imam Ghazali to us. You cannot reduce Imam Ghazali to us living in this time of Akhir Zaman. You cannot. Already a big mistake. He was coming from a line of scholars and knowers and seekers, living in a time where they were breathing Islam and living Islam. We are not. We're breathing and living kufr. He had knowledge, all of that knowledge, because of his experience with that ashkiya. Now he understood that his focus, his emphasis is not balanced. What was he doing with all that knowledge? Was he gaining it for his own ego? No. Was he doing all of that so that he has more recognition, more money, more people to be his followers, more likes, more recognition by governments and think tanks? No. So his knowledge is not corrupt, it's pristine in its level, in its perfection. But for him, he has to look for another perfection. He was seeking, and that was for him. So then he went and he submitted himself to Imam Ja'far. from that time until the Khilafat, anyone understanding knowledge will never say this knowledge is just from me, from myself. I collect and this is from me. No, you cannot. Especially religious knowledge, you cannot. You cannot now just study with anyone unless they accept you. And when they accept you and when you have that knowledge, you have to say, I got this knowledge from so and so. You can never say, I got this knowledge from online course or internet or just this group of who knows who they are, one association or another, or one university or another giving me that right. You understand? This is the established protocol from the beginning of our religion for 1400 years until the fall of the Khilafat. When that finished, then everyone is free, egoistically, to just do whatever they want. Yes? Do you understand? So now, for us, for you to say, isn't it not unreasonable to think that we will also, at this day and age, to rely on our knowledge before coming to that understanding that we have to submit? I say, sure, it's not unreasonable to think, but majority will think that knowledge belongs to them. Who is giving them that authority that comes with that knowledge? You open up the internet, you can get any knowledge you want, right? It's free, no? Religious knowledge, so-called spiritual knowledge, you can. And you can start practicing, right? No one is going to tell you, like, do you have the authority to do this? And are you seeking? People today, they're seeking. Are they seeking guidance? No. If it's between knowledge and guidance, the ego of today's man will say, I want knowledge, I don't want guidance. I can guide myself. That's what knowledge is supposed to be, to guide yourself. Why I need to have a guide to guide me? Yes? So there's something wrong there. Not the same as Imam Ghazali. Not the same. But when a person is truly seeking, looking, this is something that is beyond knowledge. Huh? This is beyond knowledge. Or beyond secrets. Because there is still something gnawing inside of you. It's still not it. Because we have been created as servants. And those who are sincere will say, I must get this training to become a servant. Not to become a scholar, not to become this or that, but to become a servant. At that time, they will seek, and according to sincerity, Allah may open a way to say, then find this guide. This guide may not be your understanding of, or your imagination of what a guide is. But he is your guide. We don't need any more sane stories to understand this. As Shaykh Efendi had said, so many of the Sahabi-Kiram, they were ummi, just like their Prophet. But more ummi they are, with that open heart, without that arrogance, claiming knowledge, the higher the stations are. Speaking about Shaykh Abdullah, he did not even speak Arabic. Yet when he opens his sohbats, the highest scholars of that whole region will be amazed by his knowledge. They did not sit passing fatwas, saying, oh, this is right, but this is wrong. Oh, where you get your knowledge from? Because they understood. And there is, how you say, a haya that is there, and there is an intelligence that is there. So, difficult part is not knowledge. Even Shaitan had knowledge. Difficulty is what? Submission to a guide. That one, shaitan can't hack it. From that time, he cannot. With all that knowledge that comes with it, and all that worship, and all that hizmat also that he did, he couldn't. His ego will not allow him, because he sees himself better than that one. Because he sees himself, I'm better, I know, I did, I'm made of this. That one, what's just been created? That one, what is that? Made from mud, what is that? I have to? It's not very intelligent, because the angels, they understood. The angels also know. Whatever shaitan is claiming, you think the angels, it didn't cross the angels' minds, that he is made from earth? But they understood and they accepted. Shaitan was in that assembly. He heard those things too, but he did not accept. But his is a deeper story, because what he wanted was everything for himself. He wanted that Maqam al-Mahmud. Everybody wants to be highly praised. Then what you're doing your work for? He does everything to be praised, to accept that praise, and to become that praise. You understand? So yeah, servants, may Allah forgive us. We are very weak servants, but we must get stronger every day, at least take step by step. And those who are reminding us of our faults and weaknesses, we must take it. We mustn't fight, we mustn't become idiot, and we must fix it. These words first for me, and then for anyone else who is listening. Al-Fatiha. Amen. Assalamu alaikum.